mother has always had beautiful gray, silver hair, but even that has never made her look her age. In fact, my classmates were usually surprised that she was so much older than their parents. When I was in middle school and part of a team that had to stay overnight in lacrosse one year, one of the parents came into practice and said that she had reserved hotel rooms for all of us. Well, I proudly raised my hand nice and high and said, we didn't need a room because my mom had already booked ours with her senior citizen discount. Fortunately, my mother is not only beautiful, but she has a good sense of humor and she didn't kill me.
Our father left all the disciplining of us kids to our mother. He didn't have to discipline because he had the look. When he gave the look, everyone in 7 Mile Creek obeyed. My mother, on the other hand, had her bag of tricks. She taught a parenting program, and she liked to practice on us kids. For example, she never made us brush our teeth. She just informed us that she only paid for the dental appointments of kids that brush their teeth. One of my brothers, he decided to call her bluff, and he had to stop at the bank on his way to look into some savings. I think he even had a cavity, so he had to take out a loan.
Mom was always persuasive that way. She had a way of making us think that we were the ones deciding things. If we were at our grandparents' playing with our cousins and it was time to leave, she would come up and say, well, it's about time to go. Would you like to stay another 5 or maybe 10 minutes? Well, of course, we always chose 10 more minutes. And as we got older, we realized Mom just wanted 10 more minutes to finish her beer with her sisters.
Drinking beer and brandy may be some of my mother's only vices. She really has been someone of incredibly high moral standards, many times to our embarrassment. I'll never forget the time that she went up to a thief, told them it was not nice to steal. I was 14, shopping with my best friend, and absolutely mortified. As she followed him around the store, reported him to multiple sales clerks, and even followed him into some other stores to warn them.
I guess when you have 8 kids in 7 years, admonishing a petty thief seems pretty easy. If you thought my mother having to deal with all of us kids was bad, well, then you've never been married to Steve Powers. In fact, I am convinced that she got more gray hairs from him than from any of us children. I actually realized this just before I left for college. I was up in the barn doing chores one day, putting out hay for the cows, when out of the blue, my dad starts yelling, "What the heck do you think you're doing? Why are you doing that?" I was so surprised that I actually looked around the barn to see if he was yelling at anyone else. And then I realized, nope, it was just me out there. So I said, well, this is how I always do it. And he looked at me and said, oh yeah, I know, you're fine, go ahead. And I stood there stunned for a minute before I said, well then why are you yelling at me? And, oh, he said, well I'm just practicing for when you leave and your mother has to come out to help
Whether it's dealing with her children, putting up with her husband, or taking out a power line, Janie Powers is a force to be reckoned with. We couldn't be more proud to call her our mother. So please raise your glasses for this year's Irishrose. Slap job.
Great.
And for giving away the family secrets. I will say, though, that raising kids and being a little hard of hearing is not the worst combination. When I turned 70, I found out that the old age jokes kept getting more frequent. Last year, my sister sent me a card, and my younger sister, that said, don't worry about getting old, that ship sailed a long time ago. I was raised in Ketchel Valley near Boston, went to college, taught school in Chicago, taught in the city of Milwaukee, New York City, joined the Peace Corps, hitchhiked around Europe, went to Mexico, Haiti, Jamaica, and 16 years after we'd been lost, I dated for 3 months, got engaged to and married Steve Powers, the fellow I went to school with for 12 years. We live on the Powers farm 2 miles down the road from where I grew up. So you could say, as the saying goes, she didn't get very far in life. I was a facilitator for a parenting program, and yes, I did have to practice on my kids. I couldn't be teaching this stuff and having my own kids running around like kamikaze pilots. And the girls were right. I didn't make the kids brush their teeth, but I did say if you chose to brush them, you did not have to brush them all. Just brush the ones you want to keep. Besides our birth children, we had kids from various countries. And sometimes people refer to our family as the United Nations. When I was pregnant with our 8th and last child, we announced this to the kids and they were sitting doing their homework. Our son Bill was 6 years old at the time. He didn't even lift his head from his homework. He just said, "Okay, so where's this one coming from?" One time, one of our darling adolescent daughters called me a jerk. I didn't respond. I had to figure out whether she was right or not. But she stomped away upstairs, and as adolescents do, they quickly forget themselves. So she did, and she came down and said, "Mom, would you iron my skirt?" I said, "Oh, darling, you know I love to iron. But if you will look in the parent-child manual on page 62, paragraph 4, she said, "There's no parent-child manual." I said, "Well, I know, but if there was, it would be on page 62. And it would say that jerks don't iron. Being an optimistic child, she left the skirt on the ironing board overnight in hopes that I would have a change of heart. I did not have a change of heart. I had my life. All parents know how grocery shopping with a bunch of kids is. And I always told my kids to keep a real close watch on me and or the cart because it would ensure them a ride home. One time I was down in the cookie aisle and I put into the cart a bag of store-bought cookies. But not just any store-bought cookies, the Taj Mahal of store-bought cookies. Double-stuffed Oreos. I could hear murmurs of appreciation behind me. But as we wound our way through the aisle, the appreciation waned. By the time we got to the checkout, there was a bit of a ruckus behind me. I gave the cookies to the clerk and I said, "There's some kids behind me, and they're causing a bit of a ruckus. In fact, they're acting like Muppets on heroin. And I think they're mine. Would you please escort these cookies back to cookie heaven for me?" She did, but she hesitated. I think she was trying to decide whether to do it or call social services. And I think she wanted to decide who was more crazy, the kids or me. But after that, shopping was a breeze, because anything better than broccoli went in, they wanted to make sure it didn't go out. I am a descendant of a Michael Powers. Then I married into a family who was also a descendant of a Michael Powers, but a different Michael Powers. This letter I have was written by my great-great-grandfather, Michael Powers, and it was found in the family Bible. And it reads, "Michael Powers, a native of the city of Waterford, Ireland, parish of Newton, who emigrated to this country and landed in New York, July the 3rd, AD 1847. He was then 24 years of age. In 2 years after he declared his intention to become a citizen of this United States, and in 3 years afterwards received his full paper in open court before Judge Kate, Juneau County, Wisconsin, which leaves him fully entitled to all the privileges of the laws of our great republic. This I have written for my children, for they will see this when I am dead and gone. There is one thing that I would warn my children with, not to ever disown the country which gave birth to their father and mother. Cherish it in your hearts, and don't ever be ashamed of pronouncing yourself an Irish man or woman wherever you may go. Stand by the crop and the religion of your parents, and God will reward your toils and be with you wherever you go. So God bless you, I pray. Michael Powers, an Irishman. I'll finish with a little joke. There was an elderly gentleman going home one night from the pub very late, and he was stopped by the policeman. The policeman said, "And where would you be going this late at night?" And he said, "I am going to a lecture on the evils of alcohol and debauchery." And the policeman said, "And who would be giving this lecture?" He said, "My wife."